Camera keeps cutting off. Okay. Today's question is from Carlos. Carlos, I think, this is the Monkey 6129. I think I bought the steam sauna for you. It says, "Hi Matt, thank you for the video on the healthmate sauna. Sorry for taking more of your time, but I have a question. Maybe you can help me with this one also. When you had mercury fillings removed, did it help with you feeling tired or sluggish? Also, do you know what is the best way to get them removed so you don't inhale all the fumes when you get them removed? Or when they remove them, I should say. I'm saying that backwards. I'm getting a sauna from either Clearlight or the one from Radiant Health. Thank you, Carlos." Hi, Carlos. So did it help me? Did getting mercury fillings removed help me with feeling tired or sluggish? No. And actually, I'm glad that you sent this question in because I've been meaning to make a video about this for a long time. If I had it to do over again, when I had the mercury fillings removed, because you can't do it all at one time, especially if they're on both sides. They will not numb you up on multiple sides and do the extraction on the same day. There's also some stuff by Huggins that talks about how you should stagger that and it should only be on certain days and all that. I didn't do that. I didn't go to technically a biological dentist, which is what you really want to go to, somebody that is really stringent on exercising a lot of care in dealing with mercury or other metal particulates. You can generally tell, like, as a general rule of thumb, if they're not worried about themselves, that's not a place you want to be. You want to get the fuck out of there, and you don't want to have them touch your mouth at all. But I can give you some resources, and I can also tell you what I think, or I can tell you what I would do if I were to do it over again, because I would not do it the same way. I went to a place in Winter Park, Florida. I think it's called mercury-free.com or something like that. He's not a biological dentist, but they do exercise quite a bit of care. They've got an oxygen machine in there. They're wearing a full mask deal. They've got the low radiation X-ray machine, so it doesn't, you don't have to go through all that stuff. They don't just do a rubber dam. They've also got full suction and wet misting. And there's a couple other things. You're going to be on oxygen. So basically, it was pretty good compared to an average dentist for mercury filling removal or amalgam removal. It wasn't the best that I could get done. I think it was adequate or good enough. When I first got my mercury fillings removed, I actually did not do better afterwards. In the following months afterwards, I kind of did slightly worse. I don't know if it had anything to do with the removal. I don't think anybody could ever tell me 100%. But here's what I would do if I were going to do it over again. Well, I'm sorry. Let's back up a second. One of the things that you can do is educate yourself. You can go to IAOMT.org. I know it's a mouthful. It's the international... Actually, I can't remember. Let me just Google it for you. IAOMT. I can never say it. It's the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. They will have a directory for dentists that are fluent in dealing with amalgam removals and will do it right. And you can find one in your state or your location or travel to one that's close to you and get it done that way. That's what I would recommend if I were going to do it over again. And now, here's the real thing that I would do over again. So everyone talks about getting the mercury fillings removed, and that's just the first step. Then you want to do some type of chelation and all this jazz. If I were doing it again today, I would have waited to get the fillings removed because there's too many things. There's a lot of moving parts when you do something like that. And you might already have a stressed immune system, or you might have super high liver enzymes like I did when I did that. And so in hindsight, it may not have been the best idea to get the fillings removed when I did it. What I would do now, if I were going to redo the entire process, is about 6 months before I was going to get them removed, I would start using an infrared sauna. I would do a little bit of niacin detox. I would not do any synthetic chelation. I wouldn't go crazy with even organic stuff like chlorella and cilantro combinations. I wouldn't do that at all. I would give my body the ability to reduce its body burden of mercury without synthetic chelators, meaning sweating, natural stuff. You could try some ionic foot baths. You could do natural binders. You could try things like just chlorella or Interos gel at the right timing, at the right dosage. There's a lot of different binders you can use depending on which metals you're trying to excrete. Different things work a little different than others, but that's what I would do. I would create the right environment for my body to naturally discharge stuff at a really slow rate. We're not trying to speed things up. We're trying to give myself the ability or give the body the ability to reduce a body burden of mercury so that once you do get them removed, the accumulation of stuff has been reduced so that if you have an acute exposure or you have it done wrong or you have complications or you want to do synthetic chelation or any type of chelation afterwards, you can do things that cross the blood-brain barrier right away. That's what I would recommend. And so generally, if you follow the Andy Cutler chelation stuff, I do not, but I'm very well versed in it. I know the protocol. I know all the different types of substances that you can use and modify, different variations of that. Generally, if you follow the Cutler chelation protocol, you would get your mercury fillings removed. You would not use any type of synthetic chelators before the removal because you could actually, they say that you could essentially pull out increased amount of the substances from the teeth while they're still in your mouth. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. I don't want to try it. I've read too many reviews and things about people getting stuck in fatigue and brain fog states and all this stuff. I had enough of that myself. And so what I would do, okay, let's just finish that. So generally, if you follow that protocol or any of the other protocols, after amalgam removal, they don't want you to do ALA or anything that crosses the blood-brain barrier for 3 months. They want you to take synthetic chelators that don't cross the BBB so that you can reduce the body burden of mercury first, so that when you do, you don't get recirculation into the brain or redistribution of mercury into the brain or this, that, and the other. So what I would do, knowing all this stuff now, I wish I would have known this before I even got the stupid fillings removed, because why the dentist or anyone else didn't recommend this, I have no idea. Because when you think about it, like I'm about to lay it out, why it's just common sense. Why wouldn't you help why wouldn't you help yourself first before you do this? I don't know. So what I would do is I would do some of the various detoxes. I would probably do a niacin detox combined with sauna. So give the body the ability to sweat out all types of things, not just heavy metals, not just mercury, not just amalgams. So reduce overall body burden of toxicity. So stop focusing on just the one thing. There's other things. It's in our food. There's glyphosate in our food. There's all this stuff. So why don't we just create the perfect environment for the body to help itself first? Well, I mean, if somebody would have explained it like this to me, I would have been like, well, hell yeah, sign me up. I didn't know that. I would have bought a sauna before I paid thousands of dollars to get the teeth removed. Because here's what happened. I got the teeth removed. I kind of crashed and burned. And then I still had to do all this stuff after the fact anyway. So why the hell wouldn't you do it in reverse? Which, in my opinion, is the right way, or I don't know. So anyway, that's what I would recommend. I know this video is getting kind of long. It's probably redundant for what you're asking. Best way to get them removed so you don't inhale all the fumes. I mean, yeah, I'd put you on oxygen, and then, any of the IAOMT dentists will be able to help you with that. You could travel to Clearwater or Tampa, Florida or something if you wanted to go to a biological dentist that's like super, super, super strict. There's also another one in Texas. I can't remember his name, but you can Google this stuff. You can see all the reports and things like that. But again, honestly, I would do a little bit of detoxing before you get them out. I think that having them in is a little bit overblown, except, the 94-year-old grandfather that I've got in Maine has a mouthful of metal. He's as healthy. He is as healthy as an ox, but he also lives in the middle of nowhere, right? And he's lived there for 40 freaking years. There's no pollution. They've got an artesian well, which I don't know if you know anything about those. The way that it's made, it's a spring-fed well that has not been drilled, and it's specifically designed with rock and sand that naturally filters the water. It retains all its minerals. It's like the best water that you could ever drink. So for 40 freaking years, he's breathed non-polluted air. There's trees everywhere. If you have sinus or allergy issues and you go there, within a week, they just go away. You breathe better than you ever have in your life. He's drinking some of the most amazing water. They've had garden after garden after garden for decades and decades. They grow all their food. They can stuff for the wintertime. He fishes. They hunt. I mean, yeah, when they go to town, he calls it the Colonel's, right? So he goes to Kentucky Fried Chicken. He's like, oh, I'm going to go see the Colonel. I'm going to get some chicken. That's good stuff. But it's like one day out of the month when they travel to 49 miles in one direction to get to a Walmart. What I'm getting at is you can find evidence to support anything. You can find evidence that people like him have had a mouthful of metal their entire lives, and they seem to be unaffected by it, right? And so then you've got this group of people over here that says, oh, this is all bullshit, and people, jumping on the fear bandwagon for all this heavy metal toxicity and blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the people over here that are like, well, my life is in shambles, and I've got chronic fatigue, and I've got brain fog, I'm barely functioning, I can hardly hold down a job, my life's going to shit, I feel like I'm dying. That was me at one point. And so what do you do? There's so many different things. It's almost like an individual case-by-case basis. But at the end of the day, the number one thing is things affect people differently, right? Your environment has a lot to do with it. The way that you have lived for however long has a lot to do with it. And so people, I think, need to take that stuff into account when they're reading about these things or making these types of decisions or whatever. Somebody, in one situation could probably just do some saunaing, do some detox, not get the fillings removed, and be pretty good, in pretty good shape. But it's all these other things. So there's not the same, toxic burden. There aren't the same chemicals that you get from city water or city food or whatever. All that stuff is removed from the lifestyle. And we're talking about a span of like 40, 50 years. So the accumulation that happens with most of us that live in an urban environment is much different than that. Now, at the end of the day, mercury fillings give off vapor. Why you would want to keep that in your body, I have no frickin' idea. I wouldn't. And one of the best things that you can do for your kids is just never have metal put in their mouth, period. Some of the BPA, some of the plastic stuff and the composite resins aren't that much better. But, at the same time, I would rather have the plastics than I would the metals, I think, at this point. Don't ask me why. I feel like I don't know. I just think it would be, if I had to choose between the two, that's what I would pick. So anyway, I hope that helps.